First at 5, an emotional day inside and outside the courtroom as family frustration spills over. It's all surrounding the difficult case of a teenage father accused of killing his young son. Thank you for joining us. I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm David Molko. The victim in this case, who died yesterday, is just 4 years old, and now his 19-year-old father is facing murder charges. Let's bring in Mike Benner at the Justice Center downtown. Mike, the more we learn about this, the worse it seems to get.
No matter how you slice this, it is just so heartbreaking. I can tell you that supporters of the suspect were in court today. So too was the little boy's mother and her family. There was a tremendous amount of yelling in the hallway outside the courtroom that spilled into the streets of downtown Portland. Just an awful scene, and one that deputies actually had to get into the middle of just to ease the tensions. At the center of this whole thing is this little boy, Jordan Clay, just 4 years old. How cute is he? Detectives tell us on Wednesday afternoon, police were called to an apartment building near Northeast Rosa Parks and MLK. They found little Jordan unconscious and suffering from what they call significant trauma. Jordan was rushed to Legacy Emmanuel Hospital, where he unfortunately died. Jordan's father, 19-year-old Marquavius Ware, was arrested and charged with second-degree murder and first-degree criminal mistreatment. The teen pleaded not guilty in court Thursday afternoon. That plea not sitting well, though, with the young victim's family. They want the harshest of punishments to be handed down to the suspected killer.
I want him in jail for the rest of his life. If you can't tell, he's a menace to society.
You want to hurt somebody, but you know you can't, because we got to leave it in God's hands, number one, and we got to live in the justice hands.
So family had been trying to get him back, though, because they felt he was not getting good care. Then they get a phone call that Jordan had been badly hurt and now is gone. So tragic. Back to the suspect, though, Marquavius Ware, for a moment. We can tell you he is due back in court 1 week from today. Back to you.
Mike Benner downtown. Mike, appreciate your reporting this evening. Well, this afternoon, the man accused of killing 2 people in Southwest Portland made his first court appearance. 21-year-old Jobanpreet Singh pleaded not guilty to murder charges. Police say Singh fired shots yesterday afternoon at a strip mall along Barber Boulevard. Witnesses tell us 3 men had been arguing and 1 man shot the other 2. Police have not shed any light on that, though add they found the 2 people dead in the parking lot. Singh is being held without bail.
This afternoon, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler released his proposed $7.1 billion budget for the upcoming year. Beyond typical expenses like sewer operations, street paving, and construction work, the mayor's proposal highlights a few key areas. They include homelessness and operating shelter beds and opening new affordable housing, public safety and hiring new Portland police officers, and economic recovery through actions like neighborhood cleanups and supporting local events in the city. There's a lot to break down in the just released proposal, and we have a KGW reporter looking through it. You can watch the story tonight at 11.
And speaking of city efforts around homelessness, officials have selected a California nonprofit to run Portland's latest Safe Rest Village. Urban Alchemy will manage the Peninsula Crossing Village in North Portland. By the way, this is the same organization Mayor Wheeler picked in March to operate the city's first large-scale homeless camp. That site for that is set for Southeast Powell and 13th. Urban Alchemy also operates sites for homeless people in California and Texas.
In its fight against gun violence, the city of Portland is focusing on the areas around 3 East Side high schools. The city plans to give community organizations more than $1.5 million for street-level outreach to high-risk youth. Our reporter Evan Watson joins us now. Evan, which high schools are these and why these 3 specifically?
Well, Laurel, Portland's Office of Violence Prevention identified McDaniel High School, Parkrose High School, and David Douglas High School as focus points for this program. The city says the schools are in the heart of areas with lots of shootings, even though these areas aren't the only ones with high rates of gun violence. Portland is reviewing proposals from 7 community organizations that say they can work with young people at risk of becoming victims or perpetrators of gun violence. The Office of Violence Prevention shared a map of shooting clusters, last updated in August. This map here, which shows pockets of shootings on the east side. The 3 high schools are right in the middle of some of the concerning areas. But the data doesn't show that students were the problem. So then why focus on youth outreach?
Getting to individuals early, intervening in before they pick up a gun, before they shoot someone, before they become a victim of gun violence is important. You know, it changes the trajectory of your life.
The focus on these high schools as hubs for regional gun violence intervention is what makes this initiative unique. I talked to some of the community organizations who applied for this money, students in these areas, and city leaders in charge. That full story is coming up at 6 on The Story.
Yeah, early outreach and prevention, so critical. Thank you, Evan. Looking forward to that. I want to get to day 2 of a showdown in Salem. Senate Republicans at the state legislature once again did not show up to work, stopping progress in the Senate chamber. Republicans say it's not about stalling, but rather Democrats violating a law that requires bills to be summarized in plain language. Tim Gordon is back in Salem once again this evening. So, Tim, any sign of progress at all?
David, not that we see on the surface level, although we do know that the top Senate Republican took a call with Governor Tina Kotek today. He had to break away from our interview with him to do that. But that was after Republicans had already been missing in action again for a mid-morning start in the Oregon State Senate. So there was no quorum or not enough lawmakers to go forward with the business at hand. Now, that business is dealing with 2 bills that Democrats favor and Republicans don't on abortion and gender-affirming care and gun safety. Now, the R's continue to say this is about Democrats not following a 1979 procedural rule that has been unenforced for years. Well, Democrats call that a stall tactic and say their bills got the legal okay from the nonpartisan Office of Legislative Counsel. As for what Oregonians may be thinking about all this, we got an interesting response from the Republican leader.
Most citizens don't even know that we're actually in session. So I think the people who follow the legislature pretty closely do, but most Oregonians are going to work, taking care of their kids, and trying to live their lives.
I do believe that Oregonians are smarter than he's giving them credit for. They do know that we are here and doing the work of the people of Oregon.
So definitely different perspectives there, but interesting to note that Senators Lieber and Knopp had a nice big long meeting today, as Lieber put it. So they are continuing to talk even as Republicans walk. Back to you in Portland.
We'll see if that means progress at all. Thank you, Tim. Well, did you catch those flashes of lightning or the rumbling of thunder? Yeah, take a look at this. A rare thunderstorm rolled across the Portland metro this morning, with many of you sending pictures like this to us, showing nature's awesome display just cascading across the sky. Thanks to viewers Jason Hughes and James Coolbaugh for sharing their photos with us. Let's get to Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino. Matt, it is that time of year, but how unusual is this?
Pretty rare, David. We don't get a lot of thunderstorms in Western Oregon anyway, about 7 days a year on average. But getting them overnight is even more rare. So yes, it was an unusual situation, unusual flow pattern in the upper atmosphere, and it resulted in the pictures you saw. And then we captured this from our Wells Fargo Skycam last night, the lightning. We cut this down and edited it and sped it up a bit. But you can see several flashes in the Portland area early this morning before the sun came up, which was super cool to see. I mean, we just don't get this all that frequently west of the Cascades. Now, it wasn't just last night and this morning. We also had thunderstorms yesterday. Look at this shot captured by Jesse Brackenbury out near Rowena Crest in the Gorge. Some great cloud formations. There's that lone lightning strike coming on down there. And even without the lightning, we were treated some really wild cloud formations and some really interesting sky. This is again from Jesse out in the Gorge at Rowena Crest. And you can see just a really turbulent, stormy looking sky. So been a lot to look at lately around Western Oregon in terms of the weather that we've been having. But now, after we had the thunderstorms and then it just sort of morphed into an area of steady and somewhat heavy rainfall for a while, that's pushing on out. We still have thunderstorms east of the Cascades too, but they're going to stay over there. And they're still moving generally from southeast to northwest, as you can see here, but that's going to begin to change. These are going to slow. You can actually see a change here. They're beginning to move more south to north now as the flow pattern is beginning to change, and that's going to shut off our chance for thunderstorms here in the west side of the state. In fact, that chance has already ended. But we ended up with over half an inch of rain in Portland today. Here's the thunderstorm threat for tomorrow. Some of the ones in northeast Oregon may get strong enough to approach severe levels, so we'll be keeping a close eye on that for you. But for the rest of us, showers, yes, thunderstorms, no, west of the Cascades. Cool with showers this weekend. but there's a pretty good warm up on the way late next week. More on the weekend and that a bit later. Back to you.
It sure was fun, though, to hear those thunderstorms
was.
this morning. Not very common to hear that. Thank you, Matt. Well, if you are a PGE customer, your monthly bill may be getting bigger. The utility wants to raise rates an average of 14%. PGE estimates the bill for the average single-family home would jump $23 from $141 a month to $164. PGE says it'll use the money for maintenance, upgrades, and rising operational costs. People voiced their opinions at a public hearing last night, saying they worry about how the increase will impact low-income customers.
I'm just frustrated. I'm a frustrated consumer, and I need to let you know that. It's just too much. It's just too much. We can't bear it. It's not what I said to PGE when I called them. I said, what you're doing is not sustainable for the average person. It's not sustainable. We can't sustain it.
The Oregon Public Utility Commission has to approve the increase, and it wouldn't take effect until January of 2024. You can go to the commission's website to weigh in yourself. You have until May 31st.